How's it going, everyone? Welcome back. We have some new World of Halo. We have our Elite Enforcer and the Banshee, a brand new vehicle to the World of Halo. Very excited about this. We saw this announced, like what, a few weeks ago, something like that. And now it is finally here. Jazwares was kind enough to send this over to me to unbox, so I'm very excited about this. We also have another big announcement. Yokai is joining us from the Spartan Collection, finally hitting the States, finally hitting the Jazwares Vault, also debuting with this Banshee set, 12/4, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I tried to get this video out before Wednesday, but I've been sick for the past few weeks dealing with this sinus infection, and it's just been hell trying to create content. But anyways, I'm here. Let's talk about this thing. Let's unbox it and see what it has to offer. This is our first Banshee within the World of Halo. Very excited about this. One of my favorite aspects about the World of Halo is just the world building, playability. So we're able to get vehicles, we're able to get the shade turret, with the checkpoint sets, and they're all very cohesive with each other. So finally getting this Banshee. It's been a little bit of time since Halo Infinite was out, but we're finally getting this thing, so very happy about it. Let's see how this thing looks from the outside in. Beautiful presentation as always. I believe this is our first Elite Enforcer, and I think a very similar color to our previous Elites. I'll check it out later on in the video. And it also comes with the Cinder Shot. Let's see what this thing has to offer. So out of the packaging, our Elite looks great. The more Sangheilies we get, the better. The Banshee, the sculpting so far looks really good, pretty accurate from what I can tell. There is a bunch of that, like scratched metallic weathering all throughout this vehicle, like all over the place. But I'm not noticing any like black wash, brown wash, dirt, or anything like that. It's a pretty blank canvas, I will say. But that is an easy fix. We can apply some black paint, water it down with some water, apply it all throughout the surface of the ship, and then wipe it when it's dry, and then you pretty much have a basic black wash as it is. The Elite itself does not have any weathering to it whatsoever. It just is our standard Elite in the standard paint. Now, when looking at the Elite Enforcer, I didn't remember right off the bat what set this Elite apart from the others. I knew the head armor piece was different, but I wasn't sure what else about the armor was different between the other Elites. So I have a different one here that we got within our checkpoint set, which I'll compare him to. Anyways, so he has a brighter red color to him all throughout. His armor is slightly different than the rest, but all in all, he is your pretty straightforward Elite. You can see he does have like that highlighting effect at the top of his helmet right there, and he does, let me actually zoom this in a little bit. If you look closely, he does have some painted eye detail here. Let me get my flashlight under there. There you go. You can see it right there. We have a little yellow gloop of eye detail, which is good. It is something better than nothing. He does come with the Cinder Shot, a weapon I have grown to love, especially within Husky raids. The paint application is very simple. It's like a black molded piece with some silver paint throughout. The sculpting, nonetheless, is really good, but I would have liked to probably seen some more paint details here, like the front sights and kind of like some little accent pieces throughout. Now, this articulation to the Elite should be pretty straightforward with the rest of our figures. I mean, some areas might be hindered more than others just due to armor pieces, but the only area that I could really see that happening to is going to be here at the shoulders, so we'll give that a go. We can bring the arm up about that high, but to be honest, these shoulder pieces are pretty pliable, so they'll kind of move with the figure itself, and then I can take this arm, rotate it around, pretty traditional, and then we have some flexion at the elbow, which is, looks like about 90 degrees, maybe a little bit more than 90 degrees, and I can flex that down. Just a straightforward motion, and then the wrist can move upwards, downwards, just like so, and I can spin that baby around. Looks really good, really clean so far. Joints feel nice and stiff. Nothing feels like overly loose or anything like that. At the torso, we don't have a whole lot of movement going on. I do have some wiggle room. Kind of feels like it's on a ball joint like the rest of the figures as well. I can kind of swivel it from side to side. The legs are going to have the most amount of movement. We have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 7, 8 different joints from just these hips down. So ball joints there, inwards, outwards, doing a running type of movement. And then most of our flexion at this first normal knee is going to be, I believe, backwards right here. Or is it frontwards? Yeah, it's frontwards right here and then backwards. So not a lot of movement, but when you have so many different joints combined, then you're going to get a lot of range of motion out of this. So forward, backwards, and then I can spin that baby around. And then we have our first, I guess our next joint is going to be our backwards knee. And now we're going to get a lot of extension there. Moving forwards, backwards. That's great. Lots of movement there. And then spin this baby around as well. And then when it comes to the ankles, pretty traditional. up and down movement, kind of gets in the way of that like ankle armor, which I mean that's to be expected, and then I can spin that around as well. He does have a peg hole for a base plate, which the set did not come with a base plate, and I'm not bummed about that. It's not something that I need with every single set because we have so many of them, but he does have that peg hole just in case you want to put him on one. And then we'll wrap the articulation up at the head so we can move down, ooh, a good amount. Okay, looking downwards and then upwards, pretty much just straightforward neutral, and then I can spin the head around like so. So your joint setup is going to be a hinge and then what appears to be a swivel, and not so much a ball joint. And here I'll give you a better look at that jaw right there, just that open mouth. Awesome looking. Really loving the elites. I mean, there's some of my favorite figures within the world of Halo, at least as far as like the Banished or the Covenant goes. Let's see how he stacks up to a similar appearing elite. This is our mercenary that came within that Amazon 3-pack. And things I'm seeing right away is going to be these highlighted details throughout this mercenary compared to our enforcer. And then a big difference you can see here at the thigh armor pieces, completely different on how they're structured. Based on what Halopedia is giving me, some of the areas that he should have some of the lighted details on his armor should be at the top of the thighs, the center of the chest rig, the tops of the shoulders right here, as well as like tops of the hands and like some other little pieces like at the shoulder. Here's a better idea what that shoulder armor looks like, as well as the changes between the forearms, as well as the top of the hand. The back of the armor is also different, subtle differences, nothing that's crazy over the top, but you can definitely see there is some changes. One other thing that I am noticing now is that this Enforcer Elite has more of a under armor effect going on, so there is some lighter grays throughout that kind of break up, you know, I guess his gel layer, whatever you want to call that, and then his actual hard red armor pieces. There's also some other areas of that like lighter gray that should be applied to like the bicep as well as like the hands, but other than that, he's a pretty solid figure and he matches pretty true to how Halopedia and like Halo has him imagined. And now for the moment I think most of y'all are waiting for the Banshee. I am not good at flying this whatsoever. I'm more of a Wasp guy myself. Now you can assemble this and disassemble it pretty easy, almost a little too easy. So none of these wings are clip-in pieces. They're basically areas that kind of wedge in together, like they make a shape and you can just basically connect them. And that's pretty much it. And that goes for all the different aspects of the wings. So you can just pop them off just like so and then place them right back in. And with that, there is no real articulation to these at all because they are molded to be a certain shape to fit into, so you're not going to really get any articulation out of these wings. So that's the first thing that I'm noticing, and it's not my favorite thing. I would have liked to have seen some articulation, especially since the Shade turret had some, and then as well as like the Ghost had articulation. So I would have liked to have seen that there. And then here at the front where the turrets are or the guns are, nothing going on as far as articulation goes either. They are in a stagnant place as well. So again, another area that I would have liked to have seen articulation. However, it does have quite a bit of cabin space to fit a plethora of different figures, so that is pretty nice. Not a whole lot going on the inside. I mean, we do have our little levers to control the Banshee and then like some little beep boop 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 like shapes and stuff off to the side, but that's pretty much it. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward, nothing over the top. And then underneath this like hatch of the Banshee, it's just a flat color with some of that etched metal right there. But it closes and opens pretty easily. I mean, there's not much more to this. I mean, that's just basically how you get in and out of it. It does have the open space so you can see your little feet hanging out the edge. I wouldn't want that happening. If I wouldn't want to be flying one of these to have my legs hang out the back. I mean, that's like having your foot hang off the bed and like the monsters come up underneath you and grab you. Don't like that. And then the back of these like little rudders, I guess you could say, maybe these like tail fins, no articulation here at all. They are in a static position. Let's see how long this thing is. So from front to back, it looks like we are at about 9 inches. And then as far as wingspan goes, looks like we are at about 9.5 inches. All right, let's put in one of our figures. Let's start with the Elite Enforcer, the one that came with it. And it looks like, I'm just gonna place them on in there just like so. There you go. Put it around that handle there, and then we're gonna do this handle over here. There we go. Yeah, see, I would not want my legs hanging out the edge. No way, dude. No way. Especially if people are grapple shotting you. No thank you. put that back on. So he looks like he is in there probably about as best as I'm gonna get him, and obviously his head is not gonna look straightforward to you know, operate this thing, but I guess you operate this thing by maybe looking down. I'm not too sure. I've never been on the inside of one of these. Close it on up and it fits nice and flush. It doesn't like raise up at all, you know, like where the figures are blocking it from closing all the way. So that is really nice. And you can see his little feet hanging out the back right here. That's funny. I love that. That's actually really cool because that's, I mean, that's how he looks. I mean, that's how they look flying through. So that's cool. Wow, really awesome looking. Now I am thinking that this is slightly smaller in scale. So based off of Halopedia, it is 25 feet long. So about a little over 3 Master Chiefs long, and so it's definitely smaller than how it should be. So this would technically be 21 feet of Chief. And the Banshee should be, you know, at least out that far, it looks like. Wow, that's a crazy big ship. It doesn't seem like it's that big in the game, but I guess it is. And then as far as like width goes, it should be about 23 feet. So not quite there. And then the height, it said it's supposed to be about 10 feet. So standing Chief up against it, Chief definitely is, you know, a lot taller than this actual vehicle. So not quite in scale, but it does still work even though it is smaller in size. You know, I'm not 100% convinced that this thing is 25 feet long. That seems massive. So here's Chief standing next to it, and it honestly looks pretty in scale, especially with these like in-game screenshots right here. It looks like how it should for the most part. I mean, if anything, it is just slightly smaller than it should be. So let's see how Chief fits in this thing. I know he should be a much better fit, or at least a Spartan should be, but definitely not quite as snug as, say, like an Elite or definitely a Brute. A Brute would be probably too big for this thing, at least how it's scaled anyway. So that's how Chief fits on the inside, little feet hanging out, and that looks pretty good. I mean, that's still looks like it's in scale. For the sake of science, let's put a Brute in there. I grabbed the smallest one I could find because I don't think these babies are going to fit in there, and he's just a little too broad. So, I mean, I could try to, like, put one hand on in there and see if I could, like, get him in sideways. Yeah, I don't think that's going to work whatsoever. But that is okay. We will stick to just Elites and Spartans. Before we wrap up, there is something that I do want to point out. To the bottom of this Banshee, it says 2022 Microsoft Jazwares, which is a few years ago. And I looked at the Promethean Soldier, Spartan Vale, Noble 6, Jerome, and they all say 2022, which is interesting because I wonder if this was supposed to be part of Series 7 before the retailers were like, yeah, we're not going to carry Halo any longer. So it's crazy to think how long these figures were sitting in limbo, you know, waiting to be released on the Jazwares Vault or potentially a retailer. But that's all I got for you with this Banshee video. Prior to me filming this, or at least most of it, I didn't know the exact price of this, but now that it's up live on the Jazwares Vault right now, it is $30, which is not a bad deal. It's probably the most I want to pay for this. You know, when these were hitting retail stores, they were, what, 20 bucks? Like the Gun Goose was 20 bucks, Shade Turret was 20. I think the only vehicle that was 30 was the Warthog. So $30 is about the max that I want to pay for this thing. I am very happy that we are getting a Banshee. It's not my favorite vehicle out of the entire line, but it is something that I am still very happy to add to the collection. One thing that I wish was a little different was going to be the wings on how they go into the sides of the Banshee. I wish they actually clipped in and also had articulation. I think that would have been a nice touch, especially for a $30 price point. I think that would have kind of sweetened the deal a little bit more. And maybe also some articulation here at the turrets and like some highlighted details, like where the turrets are, the little fronts like beam, you know, at the front of the Banshee, and like the little highlighted details at the edge of the wings. When it comes to that Elite Enforcer, it's a great figure, super sturdy. I really like how there is small changes that really separates it from the rest of our like mercenaries and the other Elites that have been released in the world of Halo. I would, however, like to have seen some more little paint details like the lighted areas, like the chest plates, and a few other of the armor pieces as well. Some of that could be fixed, obviously. You know, if you have a fine hand and you are pretty crafty, you can apply some of that paint to the Banshee and obviously his armor as well. I would love to have some more vehicles within this line. Getting a Razorback with some power seeds would be amazing, with like a new Spartan or maybe like a new Marine would be incredible. Obviously, my number one collecting goal for this line since day one is going to be a Scorpion tank, a Pelican. Those are my number one wants. And hey, how about even a Scarab too? I mean, if we're going to go big, we might as well go freaking big. So those are my number one wants. Jazwares, if you're watching this, please let's make it happen. Even if it is a crowdfunding endeavor, let's make that that happen. Let's make this line unforgettable. But that's all I got for you with this video. I really hope you enjoyed this unboxing and review of the new World of Halo Banshee set with the Elite Enforcer. Live now on the Jazwares Vault, retailing for $30. Yokai is up for pre-order right now as we speak. 20 bucks. Incredible deal. Brand new packaging. A highly sought after figure. And I would imagine Douglas is well on the way. So if you see Douglas on like a third-party site, try not to give in to those scalpers. Try not to feed, you know, your money into all that. Let's wait. Let's be patient a little bit, because if Yokai is coming to the vault, then I have a really good feeling that Douglas is as well. But if you did enjoy this unboxing and review, be sure to like and subscribe. It helps out the channel, and it keeps me motivated to keep pumping out videos like this. Make sure you connect with me on Instagram and TikTok to stay up to date when new things drop, like the rest of the Jazwares Vault offerings. I also post toy photography and toy videos. Until then, friends, I will see y'all in the next video.